Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 17, and for me this is a chapter about faith. And right in the middle of the chapter you get this famous line from Jesus where he says, "I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." And so there's this key that Jesus is seeking to unlock, that actually when we have faith, nothing's impossible. And we've seen so many things already that Jesus has done that seem impossible, but they're not with faith. And that's a story that he wants to tell us. So at the beginning of the chapter, we see Jesus transfigured, and he's he's talking with Moses and Elijah. And then you've got Peter, James and John onlooking. And Peter kind of gets up and says, "Shall we build these tents for the three of you?" And then the voice comes from heaven saying, "This is my son. And so this is my beloved son with whom I'm well pleased. Listen to him." And I thought when we think about faith, it's a question of what we're putting our trust in. And it does kind of seem that Peter was in this situation where he was confronted with a great opportunity. And what did he do? And he was thinking about tents. And now I've heard before that this is connected with maybe things like the Feast of Tabernacles. But maybe what it represents is Peter kind of straining in his own strength to do something. Whereas I think when the voice of the Father comes in and says, "This is my son," I think he's kind of almost correcting and saying, "No, this is what you need to focus on." Because when we say we have faith, the question is, what do we have faith in? And we have faith that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. We believe that he is God and that he has authority over all things, over all creation. And therefore, when we're in him, moving through him, he's through us, and our confidence is in him and our trust is in him. And so we see this in action when they're trying to exorcise a demon from this young boy, and yet they can't. And they say to Jesus, "Why can't we do this?" And he says, "Because of your little faith." And so that's when we are unable to do the impossible, when we're unable to do the things that only God can do. It's because we're not putting our faith properly in him. And so that's the challenge, to continue to put our faith in him. We see it elsewhere where Jesus then says about being delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him and he'll be raised on the third day. But it says the disciples were greatly distressed, and because they didn't have faith, they didn't believe that Jesus or that this Messiah could die and be raised, and yet they needed to have faith that this could happen. And even then with the temple tax, it talks about how Jesus needs to pay this tax, and he tells Peter, "Well, go to the sea, I guess, and get your fishing rod, put it in, and the first fish you pull out will have a coin in there that you can pay the tax for myself and yourself." Again, this is faith in action, that Jesus, hadn't planned the fish. It was completely random, but he had faith that the Father would provide. And I think this is our challenge, that we're not just going to look at the natural, we're not going to look at our own strength, but we're going to say, "God, what do you want to do? What's your will in this situation?" And we put our full trust in him that he will do it. And this is faith. And he says, when you have faith, nothing is impossible. So let's keep putting our faith in God.